1982 marked a big turning point in Hollywood because the success of films like The Beastmaster, The Sword and the Sorcerer, and most notably Conan the Barbarian led to a new wave of sword sorcery films in Hollywood. And once the Italians got their hands on it, like with macaroni combat films and spaghetti western films, they ushered in their own version of the genre. We saw a 1980s resurgence of the sword and sandal genre of films. This led to the release of films like Ator the Fighting Eagle and today's movie.
Ho 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 ho! Delightfully devilish, Seymour.
Yes, everybody, welcome back to Delightfully Devilish, the show where we discuss films that all at once meet the criteria of being the good, the bad, and the ugly. I'm your host, Jukebox Harry, and today we are looking at one of the more ridiculous Italian fantasy films to come out of the 1980s. You're the Hunter from the Future is a 1983 English-language Italian fantasy film which implements elements of science fiction in, as the title will suggest. The poster also kind of gives that away, but it also suggests that there's UFOs in the films. Yeah, they never appear in the movie.
Man, that is flagrant false advertising.
The film is based on the 1970s Argentinian comic book series You're the Hunter, which I'm guessing you'd be about as familiar with as you would be with this film. Also, it stars Reb Brown, who was notorious for playing Captain America in the 1979 television film of the same name, and Corinne Clary, who was the Bond girl in the 1979 film Moonraker. The film was also nominated for 3 Golden Raspberry Awards: Worst New Star for Reb Brown, Worst Original Song, and Worst Musical Score, the latter two categories of which are no longer eligible to earn nominations at the Golden Raspberry Awards. But that should give you an idea of what kind of quality or lack thereof to expect from this movie. Jesus, what a theme song. I have no idea what to expect from this movie because that theme song suggests so many different ideas. The intro credits are nearly 3 minutes of a man who I anticipate is the titular You're just running around the terrain. And that's it. He just keeps running.
Running, running, and 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 running, running. You'll
spot a large amount of Italian names in the credits, so when we get to see that the director's name is Anthony M. Dawson, you'll think that this is a pseudonym, and you'd be right. This is the alias of Antonio Margheriti, the director of such films as Tornado, The Last Blood, and Mr. Hercules Against Karate. Yeah, this guy has a track record for directing films with some pretty outlandish names. A group of the local hunting tribe go out and encounter what is explained to be a stegoceratops.
Hell, this is a dinosaur!
The film has humans and dinosaurs living at the same time, but the title suggests that it's set in the future, so just what time period this film is actually set in really goes way beyond me. 90% of Yours fight with this creature is composed of him jumping and dodging, but there are a few occasional shots of him striking the creature which causes massive explosions of fake blood, and the effects team have laid it on thick, so it's appropriately over the top.
Drink. Drink!
It burns like fire. They taste like burning.
The blood of your enemy makes you stronger.
Wow, for such a primitive man, he speaks exactly like a macho action hero from a 1980s Hollywood film, which seems a little bit coincidental. He's also perfectly clean-shaven for reasons that are never explained, and his voice, 90% of this actor's dialogue was actually dubbed by another English-speaking actor for some ridiculous reason, so this isn't even him. The locals take interest in the symbol Yor wears around his neck.
What is it? I don't know. I've had it ever since I can remember.
Yor watches the local tribe dancing in what appears to be skirts made out of rope that people just started making but never finished. He also feeds on a large hunk of the dinosaur meat.
We got fine dinosaur meat!
Meanwhile, a group of furries approach. I love the artificiality of that shot and the fact that they had to put a cut in there because the director couldn't even shoot this scene properly.
You're so different from the other men I've seen.
Yeah, he's blonde. That's really all the difference there is. Also, the way she phrased that sentence, she literally had to say the word "you're" twice in a row, with both uses of the words being different and both words being fundamentally different. It's probably the first time I've ever heard that.
Kill him.
So without any understanding of their motivations, this gang of furries descends on Yor's new friends, and the axe which Yor used to make a stegoceratops explode blood apparently deals a lot less impact when it strikes human flesh. Everyone Yor hits just gets knocked back with no blood spilled. After the battle, Yor, woman, and old man all run off.
You know the big tree in the middle of the river? Yes. There's a cave on the plateau above it. We'll meet you there, Pag.
Old man returns to find the whole village massacred.
They butchered the old ones, and the children too.
And not just the men, but the women, and the children too.
Go with your fate lies with him.
I know all this dialogue has been dubbed, but this guy doesn't even appear to be actually talking. Anyway, then we get a very long shot of Yor climbing, or trying to. A telltale sign of a film which is short on ideas is when they just have characters moving across the landscape for extended periods of time with little accomplishment. And that's actually what most of this film is. It makes it pretty boring and hard to watch.
What a strange thing. What is it?
Were you not listening earlier when he very clearly outlined that he didn't know?
Am I the son of fire, with no mother, father?
What the fuck is that supposed to mean?
The characters venture off into the forest and get accosted by more fairies, leading to another bloodless fight scene. But Yor fails to triumph this time.
His power is now mine.
It's not. The film builds some mythology suggesting that that amulet actually gives Yor power, but in the end...
Nope!
No!
She said no, but her mouth said ah. As anticipated, dubbing is not this film's strong suit. Woman comes in to try and stab someone, but doesn't try very hard. As she's getting taken back to the cave, a fairy drags Yor to a cliff to throw him over there, but Old Man hits him with an arrow, which becomes hard to see in the shadows. But Old Man's gesture is actually empty because Yor just gets tossed from the cliff anyway. But he survives completely unscathed and later just climbs back up.
We must find Kala.
Woman is being held in a cave which has a pit full of eels or snakes or something. And this pit isn't actually used for anything in the story at all, it's purely there for aesthetic values.
Now we fight. And the prize will be this woman here.
While everyone else is duking it out, Yor spots some kind of wing creature which he shoots down off screen so that he can use it to fly in. The music keeps changing the theme of this film between being a barbaric sword and sandal adventure and an 80s comic book movie. Still, that one shot there, that is the most ridiculous but also the absolute greatest shot in the film. I fucking loved that moment. Yor and Woman are able to escape and flood the entire cavern, which suddenly turns to a set of miniatures, which is destroyed entirely in slow motion and goes on forever.
Now let's get going.
Yeah, I agree with that sentiment. We're about a third of the way through the film and the story hasn't actually got going yet. Can that actually finally happen? More shots of the characters moving across the landscape until they randomly pause for a second.
Why is yours so different from other men?
The only literal difference between him and everyone else is that he's blonde, and also that he apparently can't grow facial hair, but that's not much.
At the bottom of these, there must be great heat, which causes this vapor.
And the smoke?
Oh, that isn't smoke. It's steam. Steam from the steamed clams we're having. Steamed clams.
Listen, I'll be back before daybreak.
Yor, please, don't go to that woman. I'm afraid only evil will come of it.
Well, darling, your current path trajectory has led to literally nothing but danger, so I don't think it's going to be too different for him.
Last night I had a dream and I saw you helpless, surrounded by fire.
You may be remembering when Yor was in that fight yesterday, surrounded by fire, literally the day before. Yeah, that's not a dream, darling, that's a flashback.
Will he return?
I really hope not. More walking, another new tribe of people trying to attack him, another brief fight, another loss, another journey to a cave, but this time the story does offer something new.
Where'd you get that medallion?
They say, I came here together with those men. There, caught in the ice. Why I am alive and they are dead, I don't know. And why the ice has formed in this parched desert is a mystery without an answer.
Yes, that's what
mystery
means.
I don't know how I got here.
At this point, I'm actually wondering if the writers even knew that. They really don't have much concern for story in this film. Yor fights his way out, but this fight scene is different because the camera doesn't even actually show Yor hitting anyone. All of the supposed hits happen out of frame. He even sets one of them on fire who falls into a puddle which goes back into flames, but this is an ice cavern. If that isn't a puddle of melted ice water, then just what is it? The fight continues, but it's more boring than the others. The cave starts collapsing and Yor escorts Blonde Woman out, and everyone regroups by the riverside where the two women stare at each other, no doubt because they're in competition about who will win Yor's heart in the end.
My life has taken on new meaning with you and your friends.
Your previous life revolved around you literally being trapped in a cave all the time. Anything beyond that is very obviously new meaning. They all raft down the river, thus giving audiences a different way of watching them cross the landscape. Then they arrive at a waterfall.
That woman is of the same race as Yor and could take him away forever.
You are all human beings. You are all very obviously part of the same race. Also, you have known Yor for about 2 days and he's already become the central focus of your life. Seriously, just get a hobby. There's got to be something to do in this weird world from the future that's also the past.
Only one of us can belong to him.
You cannot understand.
I understand that one of us must die.
So even in a world that's in the future and also in the past, women just never had self-respect in the universe of this film. Yeah, oh god, there was definitely some conservative roots in this film's narrative.
Cat fight?
Yeah, cat fight.
The evil fairies return, and the only people capable of fighting them are men, so Yor and Old Man do the same thing as always. Eventually, Yor triumphs once again.
Damn you, Khan.
Khan!
Things seem to be coming back to me. I see an island in the middle of a big sea. On the island, there's a magnificent castle. That is where we come from.
She dies, and now we're past the halfway mark in the film, and still nothing has happened. And at this point, I just really don't care if anything is going to. I just want this movie to be over. Never mind, another local tribe gets accosted by a dinosaur-like creature, a dimetrodon, which actually went extinct 40 million years before the existence of dinosaurs. So prehistoric people exist at the same time as dinosaurs, who also exist at the same time as another creature that existed 40 million years prior. And it's in the future. What? Everyone struggles to deal with the dimetrodon until Old Man hits him in the eye with an arrow, but Yor manages to get all the credit.
Why did Yor risk his life like that?
Because that's literally his entire characterization. He's been doing it the entire film. Have you just not been paying attention?
It's not safe here. Let's go.
Oh, it's not safe anywhere. They journey to the village where these people live.
This man saved our lives.
According to our custom, Tarita's life now belongs to you. She will be your mate.
Oh, for fuck's sakes. I don't know what is actually more outdated about this film, its genre, or its regressive views on women, but I thought this was the future. I thought feminism had made some kind of impact on the world at this point. The tribe leader tells them that a man apparently descended from the heavens who they killed in combat. They're convinced he was a god, thus convinced that they actually killed a god, but they actually couldn't even kill the dimetrodon, so just what kind of delusions of grandeur do they have? Apparently he left an item there they believe to be potentially explosive, even though it kind of looks just like a car side view mirror. Then suddenly,
Hey, laser!
the village comes under attack from an unseen force, and even though we only see the one laser, we're treated to the sound effect again and again while it apparently happens off screen. I don't understand. If you're gonna spend money on the special effects for one laser blast, you might as well spend it on, like, 2. I don't think that's gonna be way too expensive.
The box speaks.
Mission completed.
Damn talking box!
They're not gods. Gods couldn't be this cruel.
The gods are the ones who apparently gave the world's plagues and disease and suffering, and depending on which fantasy novel you actually subscribe to, your god may actually hate women or minorities or homosexuals or whatever. But the point is, yes, gods do this. The source of the attacks is never seen, nor explained, nor does the film explain why they attacked this village. Whatever, I don't even want the film to explain things at this point, I just want it to move on and be done. Our trio takes a boat the next morning to set sail, but amid all the shaky camera work at sea, Yor apparently falls off the boat and wakes up on a distant shore completely dry. He also encounters a group of robots that resemble cheaper versions of Skeletor's army from the Masters of the Universe film. We've just crossed the 1 hour mark at this point, and we're finally getting treated to the promises of something futuristic in this film. The other two rock up as well, and they encounter another blondie, this time in contemporary clothes.
They are the androids of Overlord.
The Overlord himself dresses like Emperor Palpatine, just like Skeletor did in the Masters of the Universe film. Yeah, I guess that movie wasn't the only Conan the Barbarian influenced 1980s science fiction fantasy film to rip off Star Wars. As a matter of fact, these costumes right here, they actually came from the 1979 Italian science fiction film The Humanoid, which itself was actually seen as a massive Star Wars ripoff. Yor wakes up in a futuristic laboratory.
Don't be afraid. I'm your friend, and this is the land you left when you were a child. Your name is Galahad, and you're the son of the rebel Askar. Your ship was destroyed when you left many years ago. Your father was banished, and he took you with him. How you survived the explosion and grew up in the outside world is a mystery.
So rather than spending money on what sounds like a way more exciting science fiction adventure about Yor, they just dumped him on Earth where they could spend a whole lot less. Yeah, I really feel like Masters of the Universe must have gotten a lot of story ideas from this movie because there's a lot of parallels. This plot point also throws into question why they named the film Yor the Hunter from the Future. This is meant to be a plot twist, but the title literally gives that away. So instead of the film being a massive lead up to an unexpected conclusion, it's an hour of people running across the landscape as we wait for an ending that we're completely expecting. Then we have a scene where the Overlord is delivering a monologue, which allows Yor to sneak away very easily. But the Overlord also has the ability to teleport and see apparently anywhere in the world with his crystal globe.
We are all that is left of a civilization that was wiped out by a great atomic blast. Whenever man discovers something greater than himself, he abuses it and is destroyed. Overlord is leading us along that same path. He commands all of us, and his main intent is unquestionably to do evil.
Yeah, but like, what kind of evil? Do you have the integrity to be specific in, like, any way whatsoever, or you're just gonna throw that word out there?
Your world is forbidden to us. According to the Overlord, it is still contaminated with nuclear fallout and is a barren wasteland where life no longer exists.
We have planned a revolt for years. And now that Yor, the son of Askar, has returned, he will be our new leader.
As the characters wander the Overlord's castle searching for each other, we get this one pretty decent shot of Yor and Woman in a hall of mirrors where they constantly struggle to see each other. This film actually does a decent job of pulling off this trick. The Overlord meets Yor and outlines basically the exact same thing that the blind guy did.
I want my people to procreate, multiply, and grow strong, that eventually I may conquer the world and exterminate all barbarians.
You believe you're God, but you think like a murderer.
So, let me just try to make sense of what's going on in the story. In Yor, the story is actually set in a futuristic post-apocalyptic Earth, where everyone dresses like prehistoric people and coexist with dinosaurs and other creatures that existed 40 million years prior to dinosaurs. There's no signs of modern or advanced technology anywhere in the world, except on this one island where the Overlord has coexisted with a resistance that he had no idea existed this entire time, even though he has a crystal ball that apparently grants him the ability to see everything. And this resistance has been waiting for Yor to return to him this whole time. Yor, this guy who lost 2 fights to different groups, but apparently has the ability to save them. God, you know, this film very obviously does not want you to unpack everything that I just did, because the amount of plot holes there is just beyond counting.
We shall destroy every one of them, as we always have done to all rebels in the past.
Yes, you just waited very, very many years to do it this time, even though they were literally waiting in your backyard the entire time, which you should have seen through that crystal ball. The Resistance finally kicks off with a low-budget laser shootout, which shows that the filmmakers were willing to spend more money on lasers, just not in that one scene from earlier for some reason.
Yor! It's too dangerous!
You say that so much it's lost all meaning.
Yor swings across the threshold in a clear copy of the time Luke Skywalker did the same thing in the first Star Wars. Then he plants some explosives, and Old Man helps him by proving to be quite the acrobat. Honestly, I wish they used this song more in the film. It really does up the campy value of Yor the Hunter from the Future. And the robot army have stopped working, just because. Yor encounters the Overlord but refuses to shoot him, giving him the chance to get away. Instead, he impales him on a massive candy cane while he's in the elevator. Why didn't he teleport away from the fight? Why does he need to use the elevator? And why can't he make it to the shutdown button that will prevent the explosion in time? Whatever, another shootout happens while everyone is on the run, and they make it to a spaceship where they fly out as the base prepares to explode.
And may God forgive us.
You know, everyone else in the film is talking about several gods, but this guy is talking about one god. We haven't even got the idea that there are different organized beliefs about gods in this world. It's just... never mind, I'm just gonna stop.
Yor returns to the primitive tribes on the mainland. He is determined to use his superior knowledge to prevent them making the same mistakes as their forefathers. Will he succeed?
I doubt it!
Is Yor the Hunter from the Future a good film?
No!
The director of this film, Antonio Margheriti, he's actually proud of this movie. He refers to it as a fun project made with almost zero budget. Obviously, a modicum of funds have been granted to the production design from the end of the film, but considering that the rest of the film is mostly characters just moving across different spots of scenery with no real goal in mind, the landscape basically becomes a character in itself. I don't mind a film that's ridiculous and campy, but when most of the film is shots of the scenery with not much else going on, that's not a film. That's mostly just a fucking postcard. That's exactly what happened with Jim Carter, and that's what prevented it from being more of a good bad movie. Some of the campy fight scenes are entertaining, but they do get repetitive really fast. And considering that Reb Brown himself holds 2 black belts in different karate styles, they should have been a lot better. But you can tell the filmmakers themselves didn't worry too much about the quality of the action, because the presentation of everything else in the film feels too much like a B-movie, so the action isn't going to be much better. There's basically no story in Yor the Hunter from the Future, and when it tries to jam in a ridiculous amount of science fiction exposition at the end, it comes off as desperate, ineffective, and downright confusing when you really try to piece together all the plot holes. Most of the story in the film is derivative of the 1981 fantasy film Quest for Fire, but the third act is where it turns into a massive Star Wars parody. Still, regarding all of this, I just still cannot make sense of the title in the movie. The entire story is meant to be about the mystery of Yor's past, but the film never invests itself in the drama enough to actually care about this, and the title literally tells us exactly what the twist ends up being. If you even read the poster more closely, that actually spoils a lot more, on top of misleading you about the idea that UFOs will actually appear in this film. As far as entertainment value actually goes in this film, I genuinely struggle to get through the movie. Nearly nothing of any real relevance happens for the first hour, the whole thing is incredibly repetitive, and it's rarely even good bad enough to find the room them to make jokes. The conclusion is rushed and senseless, there is little appeal in the action, and if the film hasn't bothered you to the point of being intellectually numb, then you'll find yourself asking a lot of questions about plot holes which will never be answered. But by the end of it, I don't think you'll care what those answers are. I think you'll just be glad that the movie is over. The only thing that you're likely to remember about this movie is the soundtrack, because that song, god damn it, that song is something else. You're the Hunter from the Future gets 2 slow motion fire strikes out of 10. It has some moments of campy glory in there, but the majority of the film is a postcard of Turkish scenery, bereft of story, logic, or anything essential in the process of filmmaking. And that does it for today's episode of Delightfully Devilish, you guys. If there are any more movies you want to see me discuss on this show, please leave them in the comment section below. If you want to see more episodes of this show, please hit that subscribe button. Otherwise, until next time, I've been your host, Jukebox Harry. Peace.